All right, these are the notes for 3.1. We're solving quadratic equations. I have to first share my screen here. All right. So 3.1. So we've dealt with graphing quadratics and all their properties in chapter 2. And now in chapter 3, we're going to actually solve, which means we're finding x, well, the x-intercepts, basically. That is the solution to any equation, is when x is on the x-axis. So some vocabulary that we have are quadratic equations in one variable. So an equation can be written in standard form, ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0, where a and b and c are real numbers, a cannot be 0. So that's just our standard form that we're used to seeing quadratics in. We've had 3 different forms. We had vertex form, easiest for graphing, graph the vertex, then graph points from there. Then we had intercept form, where you graph those x-intercepts, and then we had standard form, which is what that just shows in that first one. So a root of an equation is a solution of the equation. So you'll be told to solve the quadratic equation or find the roots of the equation, or the third one is find a 0 of the function. All of those are solving for x when y is 0. Excuse me. So we have 3 ways we could do this, and that is, by graphing, by using square roots, and by factoring. Okay, so we're going to get to that. Also, we're going to have the zero product property, which we'll come back to later. So for the first 3 examples here, we're going to solve the quadratic equation by graphing. So we can graph this the way we started graphing them in chapter 2, where this is in standard form. So I had to find x. So x is going to equal a negative b over 2a. Okay, b is 11. So I have negative 11 over 2 times 1. So I have 11 over 2. So that's a. And then to find y, I plug that in. Sorry about that. Everywhere I have an x. And then I plug all that in my calculator. 11 over 2 squared minus 11 times 11 over 2 plus 24, and I get my y. So I get the vertex of 5.5. That's what 11 over 2 is, comma, negative 6.25. Okay, so there's my vertex, and I wrote it in decimals instead of fractions because I find it easier to graph. So I'm going to kind of erase this part here. So if I graph that point, I'm going to go over 5.5, and I'm going down 6.25. So that's about right there. Okay. Then you had points to memorize. 0, 0, 1, 1, 2, 4, 3, 9. You multiply the y values by whatever a is. And remember, a is that coefficient of x. Well, in this case, nothing is there, so that means it's 1. So multiplying y by 1 leaves my points the same. So from there, that vertex I graphed, it is my 0, 0. So from the vertex, I'm going to go right 1 and up 1. I also have to go left 1 and up 1. Okay, then go right 2 up 4 from the vertex, and left 2 up 4. And then go right 3 up 9. Yes, that's a little off your graph, but that's okay. It's about right there. And left 3 up 9, about right there. So my graph's going to look like this. All right. Now, because there's human error here, it's hard to see my solutions. In this case, in this problem, they are exact numbers. So it's crossing right the x-axis there, and it crosses the x-axis there. Those are my solutions. So my x will equal a positive 3 and a positive 8, because that's the x value when it crosses that x-axis. Now for numbers 2 and 13, I'm going to show you a little bit faster way to do it, a way to use your calculator. And so we're not going to actually graph them on here. but we are going to use a calculator. Now, first we need to get these into standard form. They're not in standard form. Okay. So I'm going to move this 13 to the other side by subtracting 13 to both sides. So I get 0 equals a negative x squared minus 25. And I'm going to do the same thing for this one. I need to move, well, let's move these this way. Okay, so let's subtract 5x and 2 from both sides. And I get 12x squared minus 5x minus 2 now equals 0. Okay, it doesn't matter which side that equals 0 is on. Okay, and now I'm going to the calculator. So let me switch screens real quick. Sorry, takes a minute. And it's still taking me a minute. I apologize. All right, so here is my graphing calculator. Okay, so I'm going to go to the y equals, clear whatever's there. Okay, I'm going to type in number 2, and I said 0 equals, well, the 0 is going to be my y. Okay, I'm just going to type the rest of that equation, the side with the x. So I had negative x squared minus 25. Okay, I'm going to graph it. Wow, so hold on, I'm going to zoom in just a little bit. Zoom in again. Nope, I zoomed in too far, sorry. There it is. Okay, remember your answers, your solutions are where it crosses that x-axis. This graph doesn't cross the x-axis. So your answer for this one is going to be no solution. Okay, or no real solution. I'm sorry, we're going to get later on in the chapter, you'll figure out this has a solution, but it's not a real number. So your answer is no real solution for number 2. So let's go back and graph number 3. After we got x squared on one side, it was 12x squared minus 5x minus 2, and I graph it. Okay, this time I am going to zoom back in here. There it is. Okay, I want these 2 points. Okay, you can tell that they're not exactly, it's not exactly going to -1 or 0 or 1. So I want to find what those are. The calculator will calculate these for you. So see this this word calc, okay, over the trace button, that will get us for you. So I'm going to push the second button, the blue button, and then trace, and it gives me this menu. So remember I said zeros are x-intercepts, they're solutions. So we want number 2. And this tells me I want a left bound, which means I'm going to find this left intercept that's somewhere between here. Okay, so I need to go what's on the graph left of it. So I push the arrow until I'm past it on the left side, and then I push enter. Then it wants the right bound. So now I have to go just past it. So there's the intercept and I went past it, but you still have to be on the left side of the other one. So in between the 2 intercepts, push enter, and then your guess, just push enter. And it tells me I have a 0 when y is 0 and x is a negative 0.25. So that's one of your solutions, is negative 0.25, which is the same thing as saying negative 1/4. And now if I want to find the other one, I do the same thing. I go to second, trace, which gives me the calc menu. I want number 2 because I'm going to find a 0. Left bound, I have to be between the 2, and I push enter. And then the right bound, I need to go past that intercept on the right and push enter and enter again. And this tells me when y is 0, x is 0.6, and that is 0.6 repeating, okay, which is 2/3. So your x values for number 3 are negative 1/4 and positive 2/3. So that's a way your calculator can help you find those instead of graphing them on paper. So you can go to your practice now and do problems 4, 5, 8, and 10, and then move on to the next video.